Oh yeah, back to the video.
Yeah, Spider-Man and Freeze in full effect.
You ready, Ron?
I'm ready.
You ready, Dave?
I'm ready, Slick. Are you?
Oh yeah, take it down.
Girl, I must warn you, I sense something strange in my mind. Yo, situation is, let's get.
Hi students, welcome to Digital Arts 1. I'm Mrs. Girot, your hostess with the mostest and teacher. And yes, this situation is getting serious, which is why I must warn you, this class is not easy. You are expected to do 4 projects in a program called Inkscape. And Inkscape is a vector program. It uses mathematical formulas. You learn about vectors in math and physics. I remember when I learned about vectors in high school, I thought this is really hard stuff. And then again in physics, I was like, oi, you know, trying to build a roller coaster with vectors. Oi! This program uses that technology. And it's a lot like Adobe Illustrator. So if you think that that's cool, then you may be in the right place. But what Inkscape is not, it's not a painting program. I know a lot of you hear digital arts, and it's true, digital arts generally encompasses things like painting, but this won't be painting. It's not Adobe Photoshop or those other programs listed there. It's not a pixel program, which is synonymous with raster and bitmap. These programs are like Photoshop and paint programs. What's the difference? Let's find out.
When it comes to digital graphics, you've surely heard these terms before, and you've probably worked with them as well. But you may wonder which format you should use when. And even if you're an old hand with vectors and rasters, you still may be at a loss to explain the difference to other people. So I hope this will clear some things up for users of all levels. So let's get started. A raster image is made up of square pixels arranged in a grid. All digital photographs, for example, are pixel-based raster images. So here I have a photo open in Photoshop, and when I zoom in, you can start to see the individual pixels that make up the image. A vector image, on the other hand, is made up of mathematically described objects such as points, paths, strokes, and fills. Here I have a vector illustration open in Adobe Illustrator, and I can move or alter these objects individually. I can adjust the paths by manipulating the individual points to change the shape of the objects. Vectors have an underlying structure that is made up of these paths and shapes that can be filled or stroked with different colors, gradients, and patterns. So even if I alter the appearance of the object by changing its fill color, or its stroke color, or changing it to a pattern, that underlying structure remains the same. Here's a demonstration that explains the difference in a very basic way. Let's say you want to draw a simple curved line. For a raster image to describe that curve, it would have to use individual pixels, which again are arranged in a grid. A vector, on the other hand, tells the computer to place one point at the beginning of the line, another at the end, then draw the curve between them. The shape and direction of the curved line is described mathematically. So you can see that with something like this, the vector is the most efficient solution. It's kind of like giving someone directions to your house. You don't say, take a step, then take another step, then take another step, then take another step, and so on. You say, start here, walk to the end of the street, and make a right turn. Because vectors are mathematically described, they are resolution independent. This means they don't rely on DPI, or dots per inch, for their quality. A raster image has to have a certain pixel resolution in order to look good. Here's what I mean. I have a logo open in Illustrator. We're viewing it at 100% magnification, and it's a vector file, as you can see by the paths. Now even if I zoom in to over 500%, you can see that the edges are smooth and crisp. I'll zoom in again to almost 1600%, and again, nice, smooth, sharp edges. Now I want to pause here and mention something that can be a little hard to grasp. We are, of course, viewing this graphic on a computer screen, and computer screens are made up of pixels. So it can be confusing to think of a non-pixel-based, resolution-independent vector graphic that's being displayed on a screen of pixels. But if you print this vector, whether on a postage stamp or on a billboard, it will still look sharp. Here's that same logo as a raster file in Photoshop. We're viewing it at 100%, but even if I enlarge it to 200%, it starts to look fuzzy. And it looks even worse at higher magnifications because the resolution of the raster is simply not high enough. Computer fonts are another kind of vector file. They too have mathematical information in them so they can look sharp at any size. You can of course use type in Photoshop, and this is one of the areas in which vectors are used inside of that application. First, let's look at Illustrator. Here I have some live type, and I can select it with my type tool and change the point size, for example. And when I zoom in on it, it's nice and sharp. Here's that same logo in Photoshop. The type is also live, and I'm going to select it and change its point size as well. In the Layers panel, as long as you see this T icon, that means this is live vector type. If I go over to the Layers menu, I can choose to rasterize the type. So now that turns it into pixels, and you can see the transparent icon in the Layers panel. And when I zoom in, you can see the pixels, and at a magnification higher than 100%, it just doesn't look very good. So by rasterizing the type, Photoshop has done away with the vector information and turned it into pixels. So when are you most likely to use these two kinds of images? The following is not a comprehensive list, and of course there are always exceptions, but in general, you would use a raster image for continuous tone photos, as we saw before, or textured backgrounds that have a wide tonal range, or digital paintings that have been produced with a graphics tablet and a program like Corel Painter or Adobe Photoshop. Vectors are generally better for images that have flat color and hard edges, such as logos, business cards and other designs that have a lot of typography, and screen printing, because with the screen printing process, you can't get a continuous tone. Common file formats for rasters are PSD, or Photoshop, TIFF, and JPEG. On the vector side, the common file formats are AI, that is the native Illustrator format, EPS, which stands for Encapsulated PostScript, and SVG, or Scalable Vector Graphics. Now, of course, people create incredibly realistic vector illustrations using gradients, blends, and gradient mesh, and there are some people who insist on using Photoshop to design business cards. So there's definitely some overlap. But in general, there are big differences, and there are different uses for each format. To review, raster files are made up of pixels arranged in a grid. Vectors are mathematically described objects. Rasters have a specific resolution, which affects the quality of the image. Vectors are resolution independent, meaning they look good at any size. And generally, raster images have a larger file size than vectors. Well, I hope this has helped you understand these two essential file formats.
The vector program that we're using a little more. These are the 4 projects we'll be doing in the class. Project 1 will be designing a textbook cover using Inkscape shapes and text. And it must be 100% original work, so that means no copy and pasting from the web, no photographs. Here are some awesome examples of book covers that students have made using Inkscape. And then project 2 is to learn how to use the pencil tool to trace and fill a character. So you could be tracing and filling a cartoon character or a photograph of a character. The key to this project is smoothness, and smoothness is very important when using the pencil tool. It's something that you'll see in the first few minutes of the tutorial that you're going to be using for this project. And this is just an example of what happens when students don't adjust their smoothness. And then when I go back and I tell them you need to adjust your smoothness on this assignment, you know, sometimes they get upset with me, but this is why I am trying to give you a warning up front that you're going to be expected to be detail-oriented in this class and follow the directions. And if it shows you how to do something in the tutorial, then you need to do that in your project. So project 2 examples, look at how beautiful these designs are. Students have adjusted their smoothness, which I guarantee only takes about 15 seconds of your life. So it's totally worth it in the end to get that kind of effect. And then project 3 will be mastering the Bezier tool, which is also called the pen tool. This is the most challenging part about using vector programs. It takes a minute to get comfortable with the Bezier tool, but I promise you the tutorial that I have for you for this assignment really teaches you the ins and outs of it, and you'll get really good at it. But you have to follow the tutorial, of course. Here are some examples of students using the Bezier tool. And you'll notice that stylistically, everybody kind of comes up with their own way of using that tool, which is awesome. Love it. So really beautiful examples of using the Bezier tool. Nice. All right, project 4, you can have some different options. You can create an OC, an original character, and you can design a Lynx logo. You can design a holiday card. So here are some examples of original characters that students have created. Good times, lots of fun in this class. Here are some banners that students created using the Lynx logos that they made. Awesome Lynx logo right there with a banner, and aren't these just awesome t-shirt designs? We actually have t-shirts coming out with student designs on them. Here's some holiday cards, and these are not the most technical cards right here, but it did the trick. It was a good design. Once again, not too technical. And this one is a little more technical, more professional looking. All right, so students who are on the CTE career pathway, I would love it if you would let me know that you're on this pathway so I know who you are. I just want you to know that every week there will be a lesson. Do you have to do the lessons that week? No. If you want to work ahead or on project weeks, you know, not do your lesson that week, do it the week before, do it the week after. You know, you've got flexibility in your schedule. It's all posted in there. Work on those lessons, get those done. There's lots of Inkscape tutorials in there that are going to teach you a myriad of skills. If you're serious about your career, you definitely want to complete these tutorials. There are tests every week that go with those lessons. So you want to work on those lessons, you know, at your pace. So you want to be putting in, just like with any other class, an hour a day for digital arts. So if it's, you know, week 1 and you put in your hour every single day and you still have some time left over, then work on your lessons from the next week and just try to get those lessons done when you can. Because when project weeks come, those are going to be weeks 2, 4, and 6. You know, you're going to want to focus all of your effort as much as you can on your projects. So try to work on those lessons and tests at a pace that gives you some space to do those projects. We meet once per week, Tuesdays at 3 p.m. So do make sure that you look at your Class Connect schedule and figure out when you have your classes. Electives classes generally are not every day like your core classes are, so find out what day you have electives classes and make yourself a little calendar, a little schedule. If you have 2 classes that are scheduled at the same time, do not attend both. Teachers don't like that. It's disrespectful to enter a teacher's classroom and not give 100% of your attention to the teacher and not to participate, and it's disrespectful also to your classmates. So choose one class to attend with your 100% participation and attention, and then watch the recording of the other class and complete the objectives for that recorded class. We only have 1 class per week, which means that it's not really enough time for me to be able to give you instruction on how to use Inkscape, right? Which is why it's really crucial that when I post videos for you, you watch those videos, okay? They are your learning tools. Please read directions carefully and watch all of the videos that I have posted before you start asking me questions about a project. A lot of times students will not read the directions and will not watch the videos, and they'll ask me a question that for me is like, wow, I answered that in the directions, or wow, that video addressed that question. If you have questions, please do your part first to prevent my eyes from rolling into the back of my head. Thank you. And here's another situation I come across with students. You need help now, okay? So this is my lawnmower analogy. All right, this lawnmower is Inkscape, okay? And you are in the process of trying to figure out Inkscape. You have watched your videos, you've read the directions, and you still can't figure something out. Inkscape can sometimes be a little tricky. So you're thinking, I need help now. I've got this 2-hour block of time that I've set aside to do this project, and I need to get this thing going right now so I can stay on schedule. And then you go, well, gosh, what do I do? You know, I need some help right now. I have an idea, a good one. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. So you say, you know what? All right, here's my analogy. I'm in the backyard, all right? I am going to mow the lawn because the grass is getting really high, and I know that if I don't get it mowed right now, it's going to be impossible to get my lawnmower through it. So I say to myself, man, I do not know how to get this lawnmower started. I have tried everything. I can't figure out how to get it started, and I need to mow the lawn now. What am I going to do? Well, my husband knows everything there is to know about lawnmowers, right? So I say to myself, I'll go inside and I'll send my husband an email. Well, did you know that teachers have 24 hours to respond to emails? So literally we're looking at, you might not get an answer for 24 hours if you're sitting there at your computer and you need help now and you decide, I'm going to email Mrs. Girot. Okay, so what do I learn about you when I get an email about something that you need to know right now? I learn that you have just gained another 8 hours of pretending to work. Well, I've got my questions submitted. I've got the next 24 hours to hear back before I've got to work, right? I wonder how much work I'll have to do today to make it look like I actually did work today. Yeah, if you could stop pretending to work and actually do some work, that'd be great. Hey, here's a funny one. You're fired. Why? You're only pretending to work. You can't prove that. I replaced your monitor with an old cardboard box last week. Ooh, touché. Hey, here's a little tidbit about integrity. If you were the boss, you'd fire someone like you. What's integrity? Integrity is doing the right thing when nobody is watching, okay? So this is my face, people, when people don't have integrity, all right? And if you need help right now and you are sending me an email that I might not get to for 8 hours, you're playing games with me. Stop playing games. You need to call me or text me and get an answer right now, okay? So hopefully I have made that clear to you. So add my number to your contacts right now, 801-637-9682. I should be on speed dial in your phone. And in fact, as a part of this orientation, to prove to me that you did this orientation and watched my long, boring video, I want you to send me a text right now, 801-637-9682. And your text needs to include your first and last name so I know who you are, because I have a lot of people with the same first names and the same last names, so I need them both. And I need your learning coach's first name and the name of this class, Digital Arts 1. That's all you have to send. And if you don't text me, then that means one of two things to me. It means your family doesn't have a cell phone, and that happens. In that case, email me and let me know the best way to get in contact with you. And number two, you didn't complete this orientation, and I know that you're not serious about doing this class, and you probably need to be switched to a different class. Honestly, if you can't send me a text message, if you can't send me an email, that tells me that you're not plugged in. And this is a serious class, okay? It's not a fluffy class, so it needs to be, you need to engage in this class 100%. Email protocol. This is really important across the board. We're talking about sending an email to anybody. All right, you always want to have a subject line, okay? So I teach 3 classes and oftentimes have hundreds of students. So I really need to know in that subject line who you are. And this goes for learning coaches. I get learning coach emails all the time, and they use the first name of their student. And I have no idea who they're talking about because I might have several students with that first name, and I might have several students with that first name who are in all of my different classes that I'm teaching. So my head is just not big enough to keep all of this information straight. So I need you to help me with that. First initial, last name, class that you're in, digital arts, and then what this email is about. So maybe it's a question about project 1. All right, and then be specific in your email. Don't just say something like, I need help on the test. What does that mean? I have no idea what that means. And it's an email. So like, what am I supposed to respond back? Seriously, how can I help you? You should be calling me. If you need help on a test, you should be calling me and saying, I'm on question number 2. I need help with this question. Could you give me a little bit of insight? You shouldn't be sending me an email. How are you going to finish your test? I might not get back to you for 24 hours. It's ridiculous. All right, so you could say something more detailed like I need help on the week 1 test, but I would still need some more information like what do you need help with on the week 1 test? Do you need help finding the test? Do you need help starting the test? Are you in the test? Do you have a specific question about a specific question? What question is it? What's your question about the question? I need details, people. I can't help you. But really, these types of things, this is a I need help right now thing and needs to be a phone call. Other examples, just being very specific, project 2, critique 1, week 5 test. You know, don't just say, I need help on the project. Well, we've got 4 projects in this class. Which project? And what is the help that you need on it? Did you read the directions? Did you watch the videos? Do you have a specific question about that? For example, hey, I just got done watching the Project 2 video tutorial, and when she says to adjust the smoothness in that video, I'm just, for some reason, my computer is not letting me adjust the smoothness. Could you help me out with that? Well, sure, but how am I going to help you in an email? Seriously, call me, right? Okay, so one of the other things you're going to need to do is download Inkscape. You need to watch the video that's in this orientation folder that shows you how to download it. And for some reason, if it doesn't open after you install it, that just means that you didn't install it completely. So if it doesn't install completely, start over, uninstall it, and do it again. 100% of students that have complained that Inkscape's not working have uninstalled it, reinstalled it, and it worked just fine. Also, we have this lovely tech support. They are people that we pay to sit and answer your phone calls. So you can also call tech support, 866-K12-CARE. You know, I get a lot of students, it'll be like the 8th week, you know, of the block. And they're like, well, I haven't submitted any of my projects because I can't get my Dropbox to work. Really? Okay, and what did I just learn about you? I learned that you don't really want to mow your lawn, do you? You really don't want to get the lawnmower started because you know that if you don't start the lawnmower, you can't mow it. So next, complete the week 1 assignment after you get done with this orientation video and after you've sent me that text message or the email if you guys honestly don't have a cell phone. Yeah, complete the week 1 assignment. Let's read the rules together real quick on that. So here you are in the digital arts class and you're going to click on the content button. Once you click on that content button, the first thing you're going to see is my contact information. So you can't ever say, I can't find your contact information, because if you click on the table of contents tab at the top or Mrs. Girot's contact information at the top, all my stuff's in there, tech support's in there, the attendance hotline's in there, the school website's in there, my email's in there. Hey, it's all there. All right, here we are, week 1. You'll notice that everything's arranged by weeks and has dates and tells you what's going on in each one of these weekly folders. This week 1, October 30th or November 3rd, do you want to be here? I need to establish this right now. This is the orientation video you're watching right now. You're going to install Inkscape and you're going to do the week 1 assignment. and the week 1 test and lessons in there too. If you click on the major folder, you'll notice that there are subfolders. So here's the orientation, the rules, and where to download. Oops, it should say Inkscape. Excellent. Download Inkscape. If for the week 1 assignment, that's going to be this folder right here, and then the week 1 lesson and test will be this folder right here. So let's start here. We're going to read the rules together. Rules 1, plan ahead. Give yourself plenty of time to do the work. Work for 1 hour a day in this class. This is just like any other class that you spend an hour in a day in. Yes, we don't spend an hour a day live. We spend an hour a week live, and then the rest of the time you're expected to do independently. Number 2, read and follow directions. Number 3, watch the tutorials and follow them. Don't just do your own thing. 4, turn your work in on time. 5, don't cheat, don't plagiarize, don't waste my time submitting stuff to the Dropbox that doesn't belong there. 6, request to be in a different class if you discover that Inkscape isn't working for you or you just don't want to take it. My feelings won't be hurt, but don't waste your time or mine just staying in here if you're not going to apply yourself. There are other electives that you can take that are easier than this class. There are other fine arts credits. Fine Arts A, Fine Arts B, Digital Photography. These are classes that you can take, pass with a lot less effort than this class will take. Week 1 assignment. Let's just take a quick look at that. Whew. Let's find out if this is really your thing. Number 1, digital arts is not a fluffy art class. It is not for everyone. It is probably one of the most challenging classes we have, and it requires a huge commitment on your end. Is this already starting to not sound like you? You must use Inkscape in this class, no exceptions. Students will say, oh, I usually use such and such program to do my digital drawing. Well, guess what? This isn't a drawing class. It's a vector-based graphics class, which is going to be way different than your run-of-the-mill paint programs that are raster or bitmap-based. So do this assignment by opening the video tutorial in one window with your Inkscape open in a second window. Try to get as much done as possible by committing yourself to working for at least 45 minutes every day this week on the project. Each time you work on it, save it with a different name so that you don't accidentally save over your old work. Turn in the work you have completed Thursday so I can assess whether or not this is a good fit for you by Friday. Complete the survey. If after you work in Inkscape you realize that this is not your cup of tea, guess what? It's not going to get any easier. Are you sure you want to take this class? Maybe you should reconsider. Let me know in that survey. 6, contact me this week if you need to be switched to a different class, okay? And if I didn't scare you away, you're a true digital arts geek and you're probably going to love this class. So here's the video tutorial that shows you how to use Inkscape and how to download it, and a survey, do you really want to be here? And there's your week 1 assignment. So let's see. Yeah, it didn't show you, but over here, here's the orientation, here's the download Inkscape video. There's the orientation video you're watching here. Here's the video how to download it, okay? The other one was how to use it for the assignment. And then your week 1 lesson and test shows you the answers to the test can be found in the lessons below. The first thing you're going to see is the week 1 test, and just those directions are telling you to right click and open it in a new window, and then to resize your window so that you can see the test and this content here, okay? And you'll read the questions and you'll be able to find the answers. They use lots of bold-faced words so you can skim and find things pretty easily, okay? All right, so then you'll notice next week we have our first project. Week 2 is project 1 and the week 2 test. So like I said, you can work on your tests if you want to in non-project weeks. So like in week 3 we don't have a project. So maybe next week you want to focus all on project 1, and then in week 3 you want to do the week 2 test and the week 3 test. So you can do it any way that works for your schedule, but you do have to self-manage. You do have to manage your time effectively. Thanksgiving week, I'm super excited. I don't have anything in there. We're not going to do anything that week, so if you fall behind, you can use those couple of days that will be here to catch up. That pretty much covers it. The survey that's in there, only complete that after you've watched this orientation video installed Inkscape and have completed the week 1 assignment. And just make sure that you get all of that done by Thursday, because on Friday I'm going to be looking at your work and looking at your participation and deciding who's serious about taking this class, who do we need to probably get into a different electives or a different art class. So Friday I need to be able to make those decisions, so have everything in by Thursday this week. And if you have any questions, text me. We're all gonna have fun.
You dance.